Yep. Chop chop. I hear her. I don't see her. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Am I on?
Shabbat shalom. So good to be with everybody tonight. So good to feel the coming back and being together. And Shabbat shalom to everybody who's tuning in virtually. If you're new here to Temple Bethel this evening, just a few little things you might want to know. If you need to use the restrooms, you go out to where the stairs are and make a right and go all the way to the end. They're there. Also, there's a drinking fountain on the way. Please make sure that your cell phones are silenced or off so that we can be together without distraction and celebrate Shabbat. And our policy at Temple Bethel regarding COVID and masks is that if you're vaccinated and boosted, it's optional whether you want to have a mask on or not. If you're not, please do wear a mask. But we also want to really honor and respect that all of us need to do what we need to do to feel safe and protected and able to be together. So just be aware of if there's people that are wearing a mask or even not, if you're saying hello or just kind of respecting personal space and not making any assumptions, we can still be able to connect together tonight as we're coming back in person. So let's just for a moment, just turn to the person next to you, wish them a Shabbat Shalom.
Hi.
we actually get to be with people right now. Maybe share one thing that's been great about your week. So one of the things that, that our tradition and our sages call Shabbat is they call Shabbat the queen, the malkah, also a bride. But the real part of this is that this aspect of feminine presence, which is what Shabbat is called, this sense of, it's really one way to look at it is that Shabbat is also a state of consciousness, a state of awareness. It's one in which we are receptive. That's really the feminine principle in the world, that the active is the masculine, that we all have masculine and feminine in all of us. But when we are receiving, when we are open, when we have space for whatever, we're in that receptive place. We're in that feminine. We're in that malkah, that queen, that place that has space for it all. So just take a moment right now to take a few deep breaths and to really just let go and be totally open to these moments together. Totally open to the beauty of what is here, of each one of us. Page 8 in the middle, Shabbat HaMalkah. So this is also a special Shabbat as it is the Bat Mitzvah of Ariana Kitai. And we're so blessed to have you all here this evening. Want to invite you up to lead us in the lighting of candles and the welcoming of Shabbat. So any number of your family that you'd like to have come up, please do. Do you need the words? Yes. Okay. You just squeeze. There's no safety there. No, it's like this. Squeeze that.
All right.
No, this is the candle lighting. Here we go.
Baruch.
Just wait until you light it. That's okay.
Ready?
Let's take all the light in. Everybody please stand as we welcome Shabbat together. Bring it all in. Go for it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Hey, good
Shabbat.
Good spirit. Shabbat shalom. and Mazel tov. That was it. Come up at the end and do Kiddush. So this is an interpretation, this prayer of one of the Psalms, which you can find on page 12. It's the last paragraph, the first line, Or Zarua Lat Tzadik, and then there'll be some English poetry.
Simchut tzadikim b'Adonai, hodu lezecher kodsho. Light sings straight through me and back to you. We sing with joy. Raise your hopeful voice. You have a choice. You've made it now. Or zarua lat tzadik, ul yishrei lev simcha. Light from my heart back to you, and we will sing as one. Shiru l'Adonai shir hadash, shiru l'Adonai. Or zarua lat tzadik, ul yishrei lev simcha. Raise your hopeful voice. You have a choice. You've made it now. Or zarua lat tzadik, ul yishrei lev simcha.
Page 18. Lecha Dodi. Welcome, my beloved. Let's greet the bride, that presence that can hold space for everything.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala,
19. We stand to greet the bride. Last verse.
Put your books down. Everyone, put your books down. Put your hands together. Lie, 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 lie. Yeah, lie, la, 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 lie, 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 lie. Yeah, lie, la, 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 lie, 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 lie. Yeah, lie, lie, la, 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 lie. Yeah, lie, la, lie. Yeah, lie, la, la, lie. Hey, yeah, lie, la, 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 lie. Yeah, lie, la, la, lie, 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 lie. Yeah, la, 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 lie. Yeah, lie, 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 lie. Yeah, lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Yeah, lie, lie, lie.
You can stay standing for a moment. I just want to also acknowledge that some of us are here because we have yahrzeit or we're in a period of mourning. And it's usually at this place in the service where the Kabbalat Shabbat, a lot of the joyous singing, we start to transition into the evening service. And it's at this point I want to say to all of you, Hamakom Yenachem Etchem, may the Holy One comfort you. And you can feel the support, may you feel the support of community, of God's presence through all of us in the congregation, whether you're virtually or here in person. And just know wherever you're at in the prayer, you can let yourself be in the silence, be in the song. It's all good. We're on page 22. We'll stay standing as we transition Chatzi Kaddish and then the Baruch Hu.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah B'yalma divarach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon v'yomechon Uv'chayei techol beit Yisrael Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv, ve'imru, amen. Yehi shemei rabba mevorach, le'alam u'lolamei almaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitraman, v'yitnasei, v'yithadar, v'yitale, v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha, brichu, le'la min kol birchata, v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran mi'alma, v'yimru, amen.
Am I awake? Do I hear the call? Will I let these prayers change my life at all? How will I respond to the prayer's request? When I have the choice, will I choose to rest?
Yalla lie, 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 yalla lie, lie, lie. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Lie, 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 la la lie, 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 ya 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 la lie, lie, lie. Baruch Adonai Horach Le'olam va'ed Le'olam va'ed Yalla lai 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 Yalla lai 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 Yalla lai 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 Yalla lai 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 La la lai 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 Yalla lie, 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 yalla lie, lie, lie. Page 26, God of Creation. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech Asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chokhma poteach she'arim. God of creation, who makes the evening fall from light into darkness with the setting of the sun. You unfold the heavens with brilliant moon and stars and wrap our souls with peace. Baruch atah Adonai.
Continue with the Shema and Ve'ahavta.
I don't think your mic is on. I can't hear.
So the Shema can be found on page 29. But just before we launch into it together, it's really this statement of the oneness of God, that everything in the world, everything inside us, outside of us, is an expression of that one presence. And the way to engage that presence in this moment, in this prayer, is to listen. So just take a second to tune inside. And it's interesting to note that another way in our Bible of God's presence being known is to our prophet Ezekiel, who hears God in a kol demama daka, which is translated sometimes as a still small voice. But scholars have also translated as the sound or the voice of fine silence. That actually silence has a sound. We know about that from from Rabbi Simon and Garfunkel. But that there is a sound to silence, that there is an energy, that there is a presence. So just take a moment and open up to all that is around you and inside you. And as we say the Shema together as an expression of that presence that is within and without, you can either stand or sit according to what you're comfortable with. Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Page 31. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha Veshinantam levanecha vedibarta bam beshivtecha bevetecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshokbecha uvkumhecha ukshartam leot al yadecha vehayu letotafot beineinecha Uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. Page 37, Michamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot o sefele, nora tehilot o sefele. Malchutecha ra'u v'necha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe zeili anu ve'amru Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Gam Yisrael.
love that our tradition reminds me that we are created in God's image and that we are partners with God. This morning, Rabbi Kavod taught to our ECC that ours are the hands of God when we do good work, when we reach out to others, when we act with love and compassion. As we ask God to protect us with peace in this next prayer, Ufros Aleinu, we ask God to shelter us as we lie down. We get to be that source of peace and comfort for one another. And when we can act, again, with love and compassion, we bring God's presence to everyone. Ufros Aleinu. Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot, Sukkot, Shalom Echa, Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot, Sukkot, Shalom Echa. Yalai lalai, yalai lalai, yalai lalai 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 lalai, yalai lalai, yalai lalai, yalai lalai 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 lalai. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'porei sukkot shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. V'yom Yerushalayim.
Page 41, the Shamaru.
V'shomeru v'Yisrael et HaShabbat, et HaShabbat, la'asor et HaShabbat לדורותם, ברית עולם, ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. וביום השביעי שבת, שבת, וינפש.
We're about to enter our Amidah prayer. Amidah means standing. In a moment, you can stand. But I just want to draw your attention to the first blessing of the Amidah, which is on 45. And this is how we open every Amidah prayer. We call on our ancestors. We acknowledge that we are a link in a chain, that we don't stand alone, but all of our ancestors back to Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, and everyone in between has helped make us who we are. And the rabbis ask, well, why do we say Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob? Why not just say God of all of them and bring it all? And the rabbis teach because God has a relationship with each one of us in a different way. Each one of us connects with this mystery that we slap this label on and call God, but it speaks to us in our own way. The question that we ask is, who do we serve? Like Bob Dylan said, you got to serve somebody. So who do you serve? What is your guiding light? Who is your God? And each one of our ancestors invites us to ask that question for ourselves as they've asked that question for themselves. Please stand. We're back on page 43.
Adonai Sfatai Tiftach Adonai Sfatai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tihilatecha Ufi Yagid Tihilatecha.
Please take your time in silent prayer. The traditional liturgy of the Amidah is on the right side of the page. The left side is interpretive poetry. The Amidah will finish on page 59. Take your time, and when you're done, you may be seated. Shabbat Shalom. Thanks for bringing your warmth this evening. It's very palpable. What does it mean to be accountable to others? Mostly it means being able to follow through with our commitments and our responsibilities. In the same way that accountants all over the world are making sure that the income and expense accounts of their clients balance, each time we take on a task or a responsibility in our personal or professional lives, we open accounts with those around us. One could say that the expectations that we create in others of our behavior is like a debt that we owe them, creating a negative balance on our ledger sheet. And when we follow through with our commitments and responsibilities, we settle our account with a zero balance. And if we're not able to follow through, can we be honest with ourselves and with others about the reasons and do what we need to do to make up the difference? When we're not effective at being accountable to others, when others are consistently disappointed, we create distrust, and relationships suffer. What does it mean to be accountable to ourselves? In some ways, it's a little bit more of a complicated issue, but in some ways it's not. We also create expectations for ourselves, for our behavior, the amount we're going to exercise, the projects we're going to complete, the relationships we're going to give our attention to. And every time we make a goal for ourselves, we open an account. And when we settle our accounts, we feel accomplished and complete. But here's the danger. When we don't settle our own accounts with ourselves, we can feel defeated and worthless. Sometimes we try to mask those feelings by putting the responsibility for our failures on others. We say to ourselves that we haven't established a regular exercise routine because our spouse or our children require our attention, and it's uncomfortable to push our bodies. Or we never spend time with so-and-so because they never call us, not because we're resistant to calling them. The Torah sees accountability as an essential ingredient to creating a life of holiness and bringing God's presence into the world. This week, we continue to read about the building of the Mishkan, the portable sanctuary in the desert that caused God's presence to dwell within the people. Each one of us has the opportunity to create a dwelling place for holiness in our own lives. Our portion opens with the words, Ele pekudei hamishkan pukad al pi Moshe. These are the accountings of the sanctuary accounted for by the mouth of Moses. Moses had to be aware of all the materials, quantity and quality that made up the sanctuary. If this was going to be a dwelling place for God's presence with his particular Israelite community, then Moses had to be completely honest and aware of all that it entailed. If ever an ingredient was missing because something broke or somebody took something, it had to be accounted for and decided how it would be replaced. One could say that everything that the people brought and contributed were the expectations that the community created for what that holy place would be. And now, the success of its existence relied upon the people's ability to take responsibility for each and every item in it. It seems that a key ingredient in our ability to be accountable to others and ourselves is the expectation that we create or that other people perceive. Do we commit or promise something that's too difficult to deliver? Do we say that we'll attend somebody's birthday party because when we have 5 important things scheduled the same day, and because we don't realize until the day comes that it isn't humanly possible to do all of those 5 things, and something has to drop? Do we take on a project because we really want to please someone, but the reality is that we have no extra time to do it? Do we say to somebody, we should hang out, because in the moment it creates a connection, but we have no commitment to following through. And what happens when other people's expectations from us that they created entirely happen on their own? What happens when they have those expectations that they created? Expectations that will call them a certain amount, or that will pursue relationships with certain companies, or that will give them our full attention when we come home from work. We never made a commitment or a promise, and all of a sudden somebody else is disappointed or angry because in their version of the account, we didn't pay up. It seems important to be able to uncover and articulate these expectations to others when we discover them. And once we do, to come to an understanding about what we're willing to do and what we're not willing to do. Yes, Mom, I can commit to calling you once a week. Hey, boss, you want me to pursue business with these other companies? Then you need to take a couple of accounts off my lap. Yes, honey, I can check in with you when I get home before I get involved in other things. What happens when our Jewish tradition has expectations of us that we didn't consciously agree to? The Talmud says that kol aravim ze lazeh, all of Israel is responsible for one another. From the moment that we received Torah on Mount Sinai, we have been linked to one another as a people with a common purpose. Being Jewish is not just a religion that we can choose to practice or not. We are part of a people. Right now, our people are hurting. While there are millions of Ukrainians suffering right now, tens of thousands of Ukrainian refugees are Jewish. Many of them are making their way to safety in our homeland, Israel, further proving its necessity in the world. Unlike previous generations of Jews fighting persecution, today they can be sure of one thing: Israel will be there to support them in their time of need. Over this past week, the Jewish and Israeli spirit of saving lives and supporting each other has shown as strong as ever, engaging in multiple life-saving efforts, whether by sheltering members of their community in local synagogues, sending medical personnel to offer humanitarian aid, or even jumping in to save citizens of its Arab neighbors. The Jewish Agency for Israel has opened 6 Aliyah processing stations across the Ukrainian border, and other Jewish organizations have stepped up to offer financial support. This, as AJC's David Harris recently said, is the essential meaning of Israel, representing nothing less than a lifeline, a sanctuary, and a haven. Through HIAS, American Friends of the Kiev Jewish Community, and Hillel International, we can join our people's effort in being that lifeline. Besides the humanitarian efforts that are needed right now, it's so important that our people support Ukraine in this war. While Ukraine has been plagued by anti-Semitism prior to World War II, today is a different story. Prior to the outbreak of World War II, there were 1.5 million Jews living in Ukraine, with many murdered by the Nazis during the war. One particular event, the wholesale massacre of 34,000 Jews in Baba Yar, will never be forgotten. But today, the country is home to a diverse Jewish community with nearly 200,000 eligible for Israeli citizenship under the country's law of return. There are also an estimated 10 to 15,000 Israelis living and working in the Ukraine, many running high-tech businesses. Recent Ukrainian leaders have taken more steps to recognize their painful history and recently passed a law criminalizing anti-Semitism. And of course, many of us know the Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky, is Jewish and a child of Holocaust survivors. For the Jewish people, Ukraine is shining a very special light. A very special light in Eastern Europe. And it's upon us, we are accountable to help them shine that light brighter. On the surface, our Torah seems only concerned with interior design of some ancient edifice. But its accountings are really about creating lives of holiness. And if this is true, then it behooves us to seriously explore the dynamics of our own accountability with ourselves, with our family and friends, with our community, with our world, and how that creation of expectations and then the follow-through deepens and sanctifies our relationship and brings God's presence into our lives. Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue our service with our Misha Beirach prayer, which can be found on page 63 in the middle, or actually on the bottom part.
Our tradition recognizes that healing is not just for the physical body, but for the mind and the spirit. And we think of all those who are in need of wholeness this Shabbat, communities that are broken, that are in need of healing, that we are called upon to be those helpers so that we can be part of the big design of bringing healing and comfort and compassion to every corner of the earth. I want to invite you, if you are thinking of anyone who is in need of healing this Shabbat, mind, body, spirit, please feel free to add their name in this room that we may lift up their spirit tonight.
Or put their name in the chat. Can they put their name?
Yes, or please, if you are joining us virtually, and you can please add their name in the chat so that we can think of them tonight.
אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, מי שברך אמותינו, שרה, רבקה, לאה ורחל. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, 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 and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Hear our prayer, 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 and bless us as well.
We rise together for Aleinu.
Page 64. Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר V'haya Adonai Lamelech kol haaretz Bayom hahu Yeh Adonai echad Ushemo echad. You may be seated. Mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 73. And it's really interesting that this prayer that becomes this rhythmic Aramaic ancient prayer is used for the Mourner's Kaddish when it has nothing to do with death and nothing to do with mourning. It's just really about the holiness of God. And I think there's something about that if we don't think about God as being something separate from us, something that is somehow out there, but instead actually open to the reality of the presence and connection that is part of our relationships, that God is found between each other, then it becomes really appropriate to say the Mourner's Kaddish, because we're saying that the connection to the people that we love and that we've lost never goes away, that presence and that connection is eternal. In our synagogue family, many of us are mourning either a more recent loss within a week or within 30 days. If I say the name of your loved one, please stand in honor of your connection to them, whether you're in the sanctuary or in your homes. We're in the Shloshim period for Mark Skolnick, the brother of Abby Rubenstein, actually the Shiva period. Les Rothberg, father of our member Michael Rothberg. Eileen Frank, mother of Judd Frank. Marilyn Kappas, mother of our member Chris Kappas. We're also commemorating the following yahrzeits: Bill Adler, Jules Berkowitz, Irene Breisacker, Harry Martin Einbund, Jack Elson, Joseph Flyer, Mariska Frankel, Myra Edith Gassner, Ralph Glattman, Jerome Gold, Sheldon Goldman, Lillian Gordon, Patricia Gumbiner, Rabbi David Hoffman, Samuel Morris Jackal, Stanley Martin Joseph, Marshall Noah Katz, Sylvia Lazarus, Diane Lem, Gladys Leinheimer, Leslie Lipton, Joyce Metzner, Charles Parmet, Aye Peleg, Sam Peskin, David Polak, Morris Queen, Iona Race, Irving Rosen, Louis Rosenthal, Gregory Roisman, Walter Sommerfeld, Gene Steinhardt, Max Weitzman, Sarah Weiss-Warshaw. Is there anybody else that we're saying Kaddish for tonight? Please stand and say the name. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead and stand. Okay, thank you. You may stand or sit according to your custom for Mourner's Kaddish, page 73. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olmei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudisha b'rechu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for blessing.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom
pleasure to call up Ariana Kitai and her family as Ariana leads us in Kiddush, page 74.
No announcements?
Oh. Yeah, we got some announcements too.
We got
So-
some announcements.
Hold off. You're good right there. So you may be seated for a moment. We have some wonderful upcoming events to draw your attention to. Please remember to register for Foundations of a Thoughtful Judaism class. It's a 4-session class on peoplehood that I'll be teaching starting next Tuesday, March 8th at 7 p.m. This is a new curriculum created by the Shalom Hartman Institute to explore and make accessible the most compelling and deepest questions in Jewish thought. Support our religious school with the mitzvah of Mishloach Manot to members of our community. And next Friday, join us in the First Friday Shabbat Festival, which is actually the second Friday, but that's not the first Friday. And it will be the best one yet. There's a Purim Carnival. It's going to be amazing. Also 6 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. And learn more about what's going on with the temple with Chat with the Board, which will be this Wednesday, March 9th at 8 p.m. And finally, today is Rosh Chodesh Adar, the new month of Adar 2, second month of Adar, which is the month of Purim. We say be happy on Adar. It's the month of joy. So we're celebrating Purim on Wednesday, March 16th, Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Purim dinner. Kosher Purim dinner with savory hamantashen, and then 7 o'clock production and Megillah reading. And then on Purim Day, Thursday, we'll be doing an online service and study session with myself and 2 other rabbis. All of this is on your website. Check for more details. I did.
Cool.
Okay, so
Invite everyone to please rise for Kiddush. Right into the microphone.
It is.
Just for you.
Oh.
But you don't have to worry about that now. Just lead us with the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho Be'ahava uvratzon hinhilanu v'yaronu aseh bereshit ki hu yom tehila ra'yon ra'eh hodesh zeher triyat mitzrayim Yivanu v'ha'ita ve'otanu kidashta v'kol ha'amim v'shabbat kodesh ve'ahava u'atzon hinatanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
L'chaim. Have a drink.
It's the good stuff.
All right.
Okay, grab this.
Let's give that to Mom and Dad.
We're not done yet.
But wait, there's more.
Personal challah for your family. All of this to know there is juice or wine and challah out front. No, don't do it yet. We're going to say it. It's out front there with challah that you'll be able to partake in a moment. So lead us in the blessing.
Baruch
atah Adonai
Eloheinu
melech haolam
Hamotzi lehem min haaretz.
Okay, now you can get
Now
into
you
it.
can
Go
do
ahead.
it. Shabbat shalom.
Take the whole thing. Just the challah.
Thank you so much.
Have a good weekend.
That was wonderful. You did great. Beautiful,
Love you.
you
You
guys.
too.
Really.
feels good. The gang's back together.
I know.
I'm glad you're feeling better. You had absolutely
you.
no weight that you had to lose, so I hope you did it. But sometimes the flu, it's like, okay, let's get off this few extra. That's good
It
for
is.
a day
I
or
don't
two.
have anything I need to lose.
No, you definitely don't. Bye, guys. Have a good weekend. Oh my gosh, I need to